Hello and welcome. My name's Sam and this is the Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today and welcome to our second card for this week's stamp set of the week, Sunshine and Tulips. So it's a 10 image stamp set and a 10 dies for the bundle, complete bundle. If you didn't see Monday's video, then we've got 4 images and the rest are all sentiments. So we've got 6 sentiments. And then we've got the dies which we're going to focus on today. As I say, there's 10 dies. You've got this main focal die, which is brilliant. It cuts out and let me just show you. It cuts out. So you run it through the cut and emboss machine and it will cut out all these tulips for you. Okay, which is this one. Then you've got 3 flowers which come like this. They come, well, they picked it up so it's all falling out, but you've got 3 of those. Poke them out and then you've got like the outline of the tulip, and then you can do exactly the same with the leaves. You can either have an outline for the leaves or an infill, plus you've got the sentiment should you wish to use it. So that is our dies and this is our card that we're going to create. I'm just going to change my paper. Realise it had all those squiggles on it. There we go. Let's get rid of that. So this is the card we're going to create today. So as you can see, the die has cut out the focal image and given us all the leaves of our flowers, but I've also got different coloured heads. So let's bring in the supplies. So the first thing I've got is Granny Apple Green. Now this measures 11 inches by 4 1/4, and it's been scored at the 5.5 point. I've then got 3 colours. I'm trying to pick them up. So the first colour I've got is Flirty Flamingo. This is 4 1/4 by 5.5. Then I've got Misty Moonlight, 4 1/4 by 5.5. And I've got Lemon Lime Twist, 4 1/4 by 5.5. And the other thing I have is a sentiment strip, which is 1 inch by 3.5. Let me just double check. Yeah, by 3.5. And that's literally all the things we need. I need to just grab my Misty Moonlight because I will need that. And then we can begin. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to run all 3 of these pieces of cardstock through the cut and emboss machine with the large die. So when they've done it, it comes out looking like this. So what you're going to do is you're going to poke out all your flowers and then you'll be left with the focal image. Let me get my pointy tool. Okay. So you'll get one of those and you'll get 3, 6, 9, 12 flowers. You're going to do the same with the other 2 colours. So you've got the Misty Moonlight and the Flirty Flamingo. So let's bring in those flowers. There we go. Now, you're only going to use half of this or even 1/4 of this to create your first card. So therefore, you're going to have enough stock to make 2 more cards, which I'll show you in a moment. So let's start it. Let's begin. So what I'm going to do is I'm using my Lemon Lime Twist as the focal image. So I'm going to lift the leaves of the first 2 rows. Okay, like so. And also the last row. The 3rd row, I'm going to leave them flat and you will see why in a moment. Okay. Just lift those up because we don't want glue on those. Then you can turn them over and you'll be able to put your multi-purpose on the back. So let's come on, I know you're in there because I've just used you. Thank you very much. I'm going to run the glue across the leaves on those ones. There we go. And you just wiggle it all the way down and around the bottom. Okay, so you now can place that down flat. like so, making sure your leaves are upright. Now the third row is where your sentiment is going to go. Your sentiment strip will go across here like so. Now I suggest you use any sentiment. I wanted to use the Sweetly Scripted sentiment. Unfortunately, that is no longer in stock. So I suggest that you use whichever in your stash. I'm going to use the Misty Moonlight as the colour for the Happy Birthday. Let's turn that round. And then I'm going to just pop it down. Oh, that didn't work very well. Let's turn that over. Let's just smooth out a few of these rough edges. Now, if you ever find that when you've scored or you've cut your paper and your edges on the reverse are a little bit rough, then just simply push your bone folder around the edges and that will smooth them out. Okay, so let's do that again. So this is the perfect card for our spring day that we're having here today. Right, let's pop that down. That's better. Less of a rush. Okay, so now what we need to do is we are going to bring in our dimensionals. And we're going to fill in each of the tulip heads with one dimensional. Like so. It's easier to do it this way. I mean, you can, if you want to, put them on your tulip heads. But I found that just by putting the dimensionals in the little holes, it makes life a little bit easier. Let's put the last two in. There we go. And now you have got your tulip heads to put in as you want. Now, if you wanted to, you could put back a tulip head that is the same colour as your tulip. But I've got, so that's everything what I've got. I've got a blue. So that's my Misty Moonlight. So I could have that one into there. Then I could take my Flirty Flamingo, put one there. And there. I think it actually gets lost, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back with my original plan. I'm going to pop them down. But don't worry, we can use the other ones, should we wish. Okay, so that goes on there. Two of those on there. And one on there. Which then means that the Flirty Flamingo can go into there. Right, so let's take off our tops of the dimensionals. That's one. Excuse me. So once you've done all the cutting out, this card comes together really quickly. And as I said, you can create 3 cards while you're making the one card, because obviously you have 3 cutouts, shape outlines, one in this time Misty Moonlight and Flirty Flamingo, so they are spare. And then you can stick your different color heads and include the heads of the tulips from this particular color, and then you'll end up with your 3 cards, which I will show you in a moment, which is what I did with my original card. Okay, so there is all the tulip heads down, and all we need to do now is to add our Happy Birthday. So I'm just going to pop the glue on the back and then just wiggle this around so I know that it is going to cover up the tulips that are underneath. And there we go. There is our card for Wednesday. So let's bring in the original. So as you can see in the original, I use Garden Green, Soft Sea Foam, Pumpkin Pie and Highland Heather. So I had a Highland Heather and a Pumpkin Pie shape left. And as you can see, I've used the Pumpkin Pie and I filled it in with the Soft Sea Foam and the Highland Heather spare heads. Now, I stepped up the next version. I cut out myself some of these shaped images and put them over the top of the tulip heads to create that particular card. So you've got lots of choices to create once you have cut out all your colours and you've got all these spare heads left to create or just pop aside for a future project. So thank you ever so much for joining me today. I hope you like these cards as much as I've done. Do join me back on Friday for a funky fold. Thanks ever so much. Take care. Bye.